Bensley.
Thanks, Pete. And after the break, Warren stays at home, the Herald Sun Tour, and the jockey who's jumping for joy.
Power was almost certain to run in the Melbourne Cup. The mighty 4-year-old pulled up well from a record-breaking run, and connections believe it would be too hard to back up in the Cox Plate on Saturday.
Despite running a race record, Might and Power moved freely this morning. The Spring Carnival seemingly at the mercy of the most dominant Caulfield Cup winner of all time.
He's pretty bright, yes, but like I said, the best will be done by the horse. It's
almost an embarrassment of riches for the Denham stable. Might and Power is a clear Melbourne Cup favourite and first pick in the Cox Plate ahead of stablemate Falonte. A horse jockey Jim Cassidy rates as a better weight for age ride.
Although he won by 7.5 lengths yesterday, they all say it was easy, but when you're running those times, it's not an easy run.
Cassidy is certainly enjoying the flood of success.
As sweet as Might and Power.
The celebrations at one of Melbourne's leading restaurants missing just one thing, the winning trainer. A shy Jack Denham heading straight home to Sydney.
If you're watching this, Jack, I love you, mate. You're a champion. You put all the time into your horses, and I respect that. And I respect him.
Owner Nick Moratis has teamed with Denham for 15 years and says Might and Power may be Jack's swan song.
He's getting old and he feels it. Don't ever be surprised if he wins the Melbourne Cup and retires.
Lee Friedman watched the Cup in awe and has little doubt Might and Power can stay the 3,200 metres.
Probably the greatest Caulfield Cup ever run if you look at it on face value.
Mark Doran, 7 Nightly News.
Be a freak. He could do anything, you know.
Jim Cassidy rejoiced with friends at a North Fitzroy hotel, and the top hoot could well be booking another table next weekend after teaming up again with Jack Denham on Cox Plate favourite Falonte.
Little bit of homework to do. Yesterday's run and won, and we've got to look forward now to the Cox Plate and worry about what's coming up.
Tim Webster. I'm Sandra Sully. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Sports Tonight, Monday, October 20. Getting set for the Cup. No Might and Power in the Cox Plate. Pain in...
Cup winner Might and Power out of Saturday's Cox Plate. Caulfield Cup winner Might and Power won't be running in Saturday's Cox Plate at Moonee Valley. Sports Tonight's Mark Aiston in Melbourne covering the Spring Carnival for us. And Mark, what's the reason behind that decision?
Oh, Tim, I think he's just a bit tired. I think he's a bit pooped. I mean, after his wonderful performance on Saturday in the Caulfield Cup, record-breaking time, record-breaking winning margin, he just needs a bit of a break, so I don't think the 7 days was going to be enough for him. He looked pretty relaxed today, Tim. He was at the Flemington stables just having a bit of a feed, a bit of a look around. I'm not sure whether he knows what all the fuss is about. Alan Denham was there today. He's the son of Jack Denham, the trainer of Might and Power, and Alan basically confirmed that Might and Power would not be taking his place in the Cox Plate on Saturday at Moonee Valley.
Well, Dad don't like racing his horses every week, and like he's broke every record possible the other day, so it wasn't an easy run. He's done well since, but we got next year.
Yes, well, Mark, I guess one bloke who should know if Might and Power could use a weekend off is his jockey, Jimmy Cassidy.
Oh, absolutely, Tim. He was down at Mount Eliza today, which is about an hour out of Melbourne. He was with his accountant. I think he was counting his money, actually. Yeah, Jimmy agrees with that, that's for sure. I mean, he knows the horse very, very well, and he certainly is suggesting that Might and Power have at least another week off.
The sectional times that he ran on Saturday, I don't believe that he could probably back up and beat a horse like Falonte that has been primed for the race. He's had a fortnight between runs now, winning the Yalumba, and he's cherry right for the Cox Plate.
Well, the big question, Mark, that you always ask about a Caulfield Cup winner, and bear in mind they said last year Saintly couldn't run 2 miles, can Might and Power run out the 2 miles?
Well, you just get the feeling that if there had been an extra 800 metres locked onto the Caulfield Cup, Might and Power would have just kept on going. Tim, I don't think there's any doubt he'll get the 2 miles. I think Jimmy Cassidy will certainly need to relax the horse. I think that's the query. Jim Cassidy made an interesting comment on Sunday. He suggested that the 2 mile might be a problem, but I reckon he's had a rethink.
Boy, gee, the way he ran 1.5 miles Saturday, if it was 2 miles Saturday, who knows, he might have won by 10 lengths.
OK, Mark, with Might and Power out of the picture, Falonte would have to firm as the favourite for the Cox Plate.
Oh, absolutely, Tim. Yes, I've got the betting here, actually. Cox Plate betting, Falonte 2-1, Encounter at 4s, Alpha, plenty of money for him at 9-2, and Juggler next best at 6-1. For the Melbourne Cup, Might and Power, each way odds 4-1, always aloof. Disappointing in the Caulfield Cup at 5-1. Doremus a great second at 8-1, and Ebony Grove at 10-1, made up a bit of ground. And Tim, just 15 days to go until the Melbourne Cup. Can't wait.
But Volante has drawn ideally in barrier 2 for Saturday's big race at Moonee Valley. But there was bitter disappointment for imported galloper Kasani. The Melbourne Cup aspirant broke a leg during track work this morning and was later put down.
A near-perfect morning for Moonee Valley's Breakfast with the Stars, but an incident in the first gallop of the day hushed the crowd. Top 3-year-old Chance Encounter was meant to be working with imported galloper Kasani, whose rider was in the green colours. But in the back straight, Kasani faltered, leaving Encounter to finish off alone.
Completing his work with Shane Dyer.
Kasani was taken to the Werribee Veterinary Clinic with damage to its front fetlock. As for Encounter, trainer Clary Connors would have preferred a harder hit out.
The other horse I was working with, I think broke his leg. And from then on, my horse just lost interest because he was by himself, only a young horse.
But Cummings sprung the surprise of the morning, declaring 4-year-old Dane Ripper would run in the Cox Plate. She'll join stablemate Alpha, who worked well today. The pair will have to beat Volante, though. Trainer Jack Denham hoping to add the Cox Plate to last Saturday's Caulfield Cup victory. And his chances were boosted a short time ago when he drew barrier 2. Of the other
Peter Hayes, we'll hear from Peter in just a minute, but Schubert was a flashing run in the Caulfield Guineas behind Encounter, and I get the feeling he's going to get the extra distance. This is what Peter had to say when I asked him just how Schubert was going.
Superb. Couldn't be happier. He's really come on since the Guineas. The more we've worked him, the better he's worked.
And worked yesterday with Seascape?
Wonderful. He carried the same weight as Seascape in the gallop and could have beaten him very easily. And Seascape's got very good weight for age form.
So you're really playing the 3-year-old's chances up in the Cox Plate?
I think he's one of probably 4 chances in the race.
What about the race itself? Why is it so special?
It just seems to always throw up the best horse. Always just seems to throw up a champion, from horses like Better Loosen Up, Dulcify, Kingston Town 3 times. It just seems to be a race that the best horse wins.
Who does Schubert have to beat?
I think Volante's the one to beat, and obviously the unknown quantity is Encounter.
And it's good to see that you're wearing the official Cox Plate gear.
Yes, yes, and I think they've been designed for Clary and Bart, mate.
Yes, of course, Peter Hayes is a bit of a slip of a thing compared to those two, isn't he?
Oh, very much so, yes.
All right, another each-way chance in the Cox Plate is this Tarn Pearl Lane. Been very consistent of late.
Yeah, very much so, Tim. 10-1 chance, so Tarn Pearl Lane certainly value. As you said, very consistent in recent weeks and perhaps a shade unlucky to... Tim, I'll catch you tomorrow night for more Cox Plate news.
OK, Mark, thank you. Stay right there. Coming up.
Thanks. And I know, sitting there, and I'm a professional in my sport, I get really excited by it. And Gary's there and he's introducing everyone. It's just really a wonderful show.
So how important is it for you, Gay, to win a Cox Plate?
Oh, it's essential. I think any classic trainer has to win these classic sort of races. It's a weight for age race. It's probably the toughest contest of any race in Australia because the pressure's on from the moment the horses jump. Very exciting race and a lovely race to win.
Juggler's chances?
You know, I think you've got to forget his run in the Yalumba at Caulfield. It was very hard, the track that day, and he did jar up badly. The horse is right. He's very well prepared for this race. It'll be very hard to beat.
Well, now, what about this Kiwi Invasion, the chances of Viali?
Yeah, somewhat of a mystery horse, Viali. Has only had the one start this preparation, Tim, and is a 16-1 chance. So bookies don't fancy Viali much at all. I get the feeling that they're going to have to go fast up front for Viali to be given a chance. Joe McKinnon was at Moonee Valley today to have a look at Viali trial.
Having his first look at Moonee Valley this morning, Viali attracted plenty of interest, especially from master trainer Bart Cummings. Having only arrived in Australia late Tuesday night, the striking chestnut was given a light work session. And most importantly, the Kiwi star handled the tight circuit with ease.
Yeah, I think he handled the circuit very well. He just trotted around quietly beforehand. He cornered well. He had a bit of a look the last 50 yards of his work, but prior to that, he cornered well, changed legs properly, and I think he'd benefit greatly from the work here.
Viali, named after the famous Chelsea soccer player, finished a close second to Saintly in last year's Australian Cup. but because of serious hoof problems, he hasn't been back on these shores until now.
His feet are very good this year. In fact, there's sort of a cracked hoof to stop him from coming to the last 2 spring carnivals. So he's made it this year and everything's looking okay.
Viali, rated a 16-to-1 chance for the Cox Plate, has had an unorthodox preparation, only running in 1 lead-up race.
I don't think that'll affect him at all. He's had numerous barrier trials and exhibition gallops in New Zealand, and he's going to the race a pretty fit horse.
Having been dogged by problems over the years, Viali hasn't achieved what he promised early in his career. But come Saturday, that could all change.
If he's in the same sort of form as what he was leading into the Australian Cup as he is on Saturday, he's going to be pretty competitive. But his lead-up form's indicated he's about the same vein.
Also emerging at Moonee Valley this morning, Bart Cummings' entourage. And impressing yet again was Dane Ripper.
That was the first serious workout over 2,000 metres, and yeah, she finished off very well. She's a strong filly and a very strong track worker, and she had a good blow after the work, and it'll obviously improve her further.
Alpha also enjoyed his final gallop before the big race.
Stephen King rode him, and he said he was very relaxed and went round more or less off the bit. Ran home about 39 the last 600 metres, and it was just the sort of work I wanted, and I was very pleased. And the horse has really come right now, I believe. He's nice and relaxed, and he'll be very competitive on Saturday.
So, Tim, I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow night. I've got to go because they tell me that they're starting to move up for entree. Catch you soon.
Don't miss the prawn cocktail. Mark Aiston getting into the spring carnival spirit. Stay right there. Whole lot more still to come.